So good morning, everyone. We'll start off with where we had left off, and then we'll move to the next part of cofactors and Kramer's rule. So I quickly want to just recap what we did yesterday. We did the properties of the determinants and found out how easily we can find determinants when you convert a matrix, a given matrix, into its triangular forms. And then we did something very important called the LDU decomposition. And as you can see on the screen, I'm showing this to you again. Any given matrix A can be split into two parts, L and U, where L has a structure of lower triangular matrix. So you can see that the main diagonal is of ones, the content above the main diagonal is of zeros, and the rest of the components. And then you have the rows of U. So after decomposing A into L and U, we can further decompose this in the form of LDU, where U can be further split into a diagonal matrix D and U itself, and you can find D and U using the arrow mark which is shown. So we had solved this problem here. So I quickly want to do the other problem. It's almost the same. So we can face an additional step if the given matrix does not consist of pivots, right? So in that case, we need to first convert the given matrix A into its permuted form, P into A, and then factor it into LU. So let me explain this with the help of an example. It will be much easier. So the form that we will be looking at, if you look at the screen and the cursor, the form in this case we'll be looking at is P into A equal to LD. In the previous problem yesterday, we were given A and we decomposed it into LDU. However, here our task will be to first split A into PA and then convert that into LD. So to understand this better, let's look at this example. So this is the matrix A which is given to us 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this matrix, we cannot do anything with this matrix because the very first pivot or very first content is 0. And you know that to find the pivot, I need to find the first non-zero factor. So the pivot cannot be the 0. That means this component, which is the first component of the first row, cannot be 0, should not be 0. So what do we do in this case? So in this case, first we convert this given matrix, this A, into its permuted matrix. So what do we do is we exchange the first and the second rows. So I'll make this 0, 1, 1 come to the second row and 1, 0, 1 in the second row go on the top, right? So this process is known as a permutation matrix. So now the matrix will look like this. So this is on the left hand side, this is the given matrix. So what I do is I exchange the first two rows. So when I do that, I get a matrix like this. So you can see that the second row becomes the first row, 1, 0, 1. And the first row becomes the second row, 0, 1, 1 and 2, 3, 4. However, this is not the matrix which is given to us. The matrix given to us is this, right? Therefore, when I exchange the two rows and call it A, I need to multiply this with something so that this multiplication will give me the original matrix. Right? So I know that multiplying this A after exchanging the rows should be multiplied with some matrix so that I get this as the answer. And to get that answer, all I have to do is multiply with ones at certain points. So for example, in the original matrix, I need 0, 1, 1. But in the permuted matrix, I have 1, 0, 1. So the first factor in the original matrix should be 0. Therefore, this factor should be 0. Right? And then I need to have 1 here and 1 here. So accordingly, I will place the zeros and ones in this matrix. Right? So the original matrix, because the pivot cannot be 0, I need to convert it into A and multiply this with a permutation matrix. Right? Now I have converted the given matrix into P into A, and now I will consider this A for LDU decomposition. So I will take this A 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the task will be to have only diagonal elements 1, 1, 4, whereas the components below this main diagonal must be 0. So I will do some row operations R3 minus 2 R1. So this 2 goes away and I get a 0 here. on the, and I perform this R3 equal to R3 minus 3 R2. So the matrix which I get is this. So now this is an upper triangular matrix. You have 1, 1, minus 1 and zeros at the bottom. Right? Therefore, the initial matrix, the A, has been converted into U, which is obtained after the two operations, and that needs to be multiplied with some other matrix. And that other matrix structure, I know, it should be a lower triangular matrix. Therefore, it has ones on the main diagonal and zeros are the contents above this main diagonal. And I get the other two factors, 2 and 3, by the row operations which we have done. So the first operation which we have done is R3 minus 2R1. So this is almost like R3 minus plus 2R1. So I take 2 here. The second operation which we have done is R3 minus 3R2. So this is R3 plus minus 3R2. So you get a plus 3 here. And then further we split this into the U matrix into D and U. Right? So I know the structure of D as well. It should be a diagonal matrix. So you just leave as the rest of the factors, and then you can get the U by multiplying. Okay? So the steps are the same. Hello. Hello. Some of you are sharing your screens. Please stop doing that. Now is it visible?
So the voice is echoing.
Okay, now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, the screen is visible.
Some connection loss. Hold on. 1 second. Uh, So let me just quickly recap what I was saying. I don't know where the connection was lost. So I'll just quickly repeat. Am I audible also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We are given this matrix, and the problem with this matrix is that the first position itself is a zero, and that cannot be done. Therefore, we need to convert this matrix into a permuted matrix. So what we do is we exchange row number 1 and row number 2, right? So once we do that, then we will get a different matrix. So this is what we do. We take the original matrix, which is 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we exchange row number 1 and row number 2. And once you do that, you get this matrix. We call this row exchange matrix as A. However, this matrix is not the original matrix which is given to us. Therefore, we need to multiply this matrix with something else called as P so that we can get the original matrix. So how do we find this original matrix P? So after row exchange, you have 1 here, which is the first position. But in the initial matrix, the first position needs to be 0. Therefore, I put a 0 here. Right? So once you start doing start finding the original components, you can find the permuted matrix P. Right? So now we have the original matrix split as P into A, and now we do the LDU decomposition for the matrix A itself. Right? So we take A here, which is 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we know that for the matrix for the LDU decomposition, we need this matrix A as an upper triangular matrix. So the issue here is that you have 2 here and 3 here, and we need to get rid of that because in the upper triangular matrix only the main diagonal should be existing. So as the first step, we have R3 equal to R3 minus 2R1. Once we do that, this 2 goes away and we are left with 0. Then we need an additional step so that we can get rid of this 3. Therefore, we have R3 equal to R3 minus 3R2. And once you do that, we get this matrix, which is upper triangular matrix. So now the original matrix, which is A, can be split into some matrix into U. So once we know the format of U, we have just found out. We need to find the format of L. We know that L is supposed to be a lower triangular matrix. So you have 1, 1, and 1, and zeros on the top. And we need to fill the other three values. This value is 0, therefore 0 is pasted here. The other two values we get from the row operations which we have performed. So you have a 2 here and you have a 3 here, and that is pasted here. So A has been converted into LU, and the next step is to convert the U into D. So we know that U can be converted into a diagonal matrix. So I keep the diagonal elements as it is, and you have zeros otherwise, and then paste the other values as U. So therefore A can be decomposed as LDU. The only addition here was that the initial matrix had a 0. Right? So this also can be one of the problems which can be asked. So please do the LDU composition. It's one of the most important decompositions which is required. Okay. So now let's move to the next part. So we are going to look at two aspects today, cofactors and Cramer's rule. And with this, the determinant part will be over in your syllabus. There's much more in determinants, but these are the facts which are given to us in the syllabus. So let's look at the cofactors. So I've given you a lot of information on the cofactor part. So how do we find the determinant here? Right? So if you look at the screen here, and if you look at this particular matrix which is given to us with components A11, A12, A13, and so on. Right? So how do we find the determinant? So we keep A11 as it is. Okay. We ignore this column. We ignore this row. Therefore, for A11, we are left with A22, A23, A32, A33. And the determinant of that is nothing but A22, A33 minus A23, A33. Right? Therefore, A11 will multiply with A22, A33. So you have A11 into A22, A33 minus A11 will multiply with A23, A32. So we have minus A11, A23, A3. Okay. Next, you have A12. You keep it as it is. You ignore this column. You ignore this row. So you are left with A21, A23, A31, A33, and you do the same. So you will get these two factors. For the last A13, you keep it as it is. You remove, you ignore that column. You ignore that column. You ignore this row, and you multiply A13 with A21, A32, and A22, A3. So you get these factors. So this is okay if you have n equal to 3. So if you have a 3 cross 3 matrix, this can be done. However, the problem increases if the matrix becomes a 4 cross 4 matrix. Right? So in that case, do we have any particular solution? Do we have any technique by which we can find the determinant? And that can be done using the cofactors. Right? So once you are able to find the cofactor, you will also be able to find use the Cramer's rule, and there are different other rules. It will help us in finding the inverse and the adjoint of a matrix. So I've given you some information on the cofactor. Okay, I'll come to this information later. I've just told in this slide how difficult it is to find the cofactor, but let's try to use it. So this is what I have done. So please pay attention to this. It's very easy, but if you make one mistake, the entire answer goes. So I've been given. Are you able to see the screen, everyone? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the most easiest way of explaining the cofactors. So please pay attention to this. So we have been given a matrix A, which is of these components. So it is a 3 cross 3 matrix. Okay. So how do we find the determinant of A? Right? So we'll keep A11 as it is. Okay. And we'll ignore this column and this row. Therefore, A11 gets multiplied with A22, A23, A32, A33. Okay. The second factor is A12, for which we have a negative sign. Okay, I'll explain you why we have a negative sign in the second cofactor. Okay, so A12, you ignore this column and you ignore this row. Therefore, you can see that the matrix is A21, A23, A31, A33 plus A13. You ignore this column and this row. So you have A21, A22, A31, A33. Okay? So these factors, okay, A11, A12, and A13, these are known as the cofactors, and we basically do the cofactor expansion across the first row only. That means the cofactors exist only in the first row. Okay, we don't consider the second row, third row, fourth row, and so on. You do the cofactor expansion only across the first row. So if it is a 4 cross 4 matrix, we'll have these three factors and another factor A14, then A15, A16, and so on. But you never consider the other rows, that is the bottom rows. Okay. So now with these cofactors, we can find the determinant. Now it is easy to find the determinant because we have split this 3 cross 3 matrix into a 2 cross 2 matrix. Right? So the determinant here is A22, A33 minus A23, A3, and that is what I have written here. Minus, now the determinant here is A21, A33, A23, A31, that is what I have written here, and multiplied with the cofactor. And similarly, the determinant here multiplied with A1. So from here, we can see very easily a thumb rule, that if I want to find the cofactor or any value using the cofactor, you have minus 1 raised to I plus j, where I will indicate the row which we are dealing with, j will indicate the column which we are dealing with, and aij will be the determinant. That means a of which row, which column. Right? So we'll look at this using a problem later on. It will be much clearer to you. So you'll have determinant of A as A11, the cofactor A11 here. And this determinant can be written as C11. And to find C11, this indicates the row, this indicates the column. So I and j will be 1 and 1. So you have minus 1 raised to 1 plus 1. So minus 1 raised to 2, which is 1. And the determinant here, which is this. When it comes to the second row, the second part, C12, we have minus 1 raised to, row is 1, but the column is 2. Therefore, minus 1 raised to 1 plus 2. So minus 1 raised to 3, which will be minus 1. And therefore, you are getting a minus sign. Right? So that is the justification of why we are getting a minus sign. So you can understand from this that every alternate part will be a negative sign, because you'll have minus 1 raised to an odd number. You'll have minus 1 raised to an odd number. Right? So that's how we can find the cofactor. So let's look at a problem here. So this is the problem which is given to us. Okay, I have started with a simple problem. So you have 0, 1, 0, 0 on the first row and rest of the factors. So this problem is very easy because A11, A13 and A14 are zeros. Right? So we don't really have to find the determinant in these columns because they will multiply with 0. Right? That is what I have written here. A11 is 0. Therefore, A11, C11 is 0. I don't have to calculate C11. Right? And A13 is 0. So A13, C13 will be 0. A14 is 0. A14, C14 is 0. So I'm only left with A12. Right? So that value is 1. So for A12, I'll take this factor 1. I will ignore this column and I will ignore this row. Therefore, I am left with 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1 and 0, 1, 0. And that is what I have written here. So C12 can be calculated as minus 1 raised to I plus j, and I plus j is 1 plus 2. We have minus 1 raised to 1 plus 2 and then the determinant here. Okay? So minus 1 raised to 1 plus 2 will be minus 1 raised to 3. So we get this value and you can find the determinant here. Okay, so for this determinant, we'll have 1 into 0 minus 1 minus 1 raised to 0 minus 0 plus 0 into 0 minus 0. So C12 turns out to be 1. Therefore, the entire determinant is A11 C11, A12 C12, A13 C13 plus A14 C14, and that value is just 1 because the other factors are 0. This was quite a simple problem because most of the factors were 0. Now let's look at the other numerical. This will be a little on the tougher side because now the factors are all 4, right? So now with these factors which are 4, so first we note down the values of A11, A12, A13 and A14. And in this case, all those factors A11, A12, A13, A14 are all 4. So that is what I have written here. The total determinant is A11 C11 plus A12 C12 plus A13 C13 plus A14 C1. So we already know the values of A's. We only need to find the values of C. So first let's try to find C11. So C11 will be minus 1 raised to I plus j, where I is 1 and j is 1. So minus 1 raised to 1 plus 1. And since I am dealing with 1, 1, row 1, column 1, I will ignore column 1, I will ignore row 1. So I am left with 2, 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 1, 0. So for this, now you have minus 1 raised to 1 plus 1, so that will be 1. And now you can find the determinant, which is 2 into 2 minus 0 and 1 into 0. So this value comes to 1 into 4 minus 1, which is 3. So C11 is 3. So for the determinant of A, the first factor will be A11, which is 4, into C11, which is 3. So 4 into 3 will be 12. So this first factor has been determined. Now we'll have to find the other 3 factors, and that is what I have done here. So I found C12, C13, C14, and these values are minus 1, minus 4, and minus 2. And once you do that, the total determinant can be 4 into 3 plus the other factors, and that just comes to be minus 12. Okay? So this is the entire idea of finding the cofactors. In my opinion, a matrix greater than 3 cross 3 will not be given because you can see that the cofactor becomes, finding the cofactor becomes tough if the matrix size increases, right? So I'm expecting only a 3 cross 3 matrix like this. Okay, maybe a 4 cross 4 matrix, but not beyond. Okay. So what I've done in the previous slides is I'll just go through it, and I've given you the steps of finding the cofactor, which I have just combined and explained you using the examples. Right? So I don't think they will ask you how to find the cofactors. Rather, it will just be finding the cofactors, giving you an example. Okay? So you can go through these slides, and the end result will be this particular slide, which is showing you in bold cofactors of row 1, and this is nothing but C1j, which is minus 1 raised to 1 plus j, determinant of M1j, and that is exactly what we have. So I have generalized it and told you how to find Cij. So that is minus 1 raised to I plus j, determinant of some M or A ij. Okay? So all the slides will lead you to this particular answer, okay? But our main aim is to solve it. So there is another example which I have shown here. Okay, we can go through this particular example as well. Okay. But this is the most important example which I have taken. Okay. Later we'll also solve one example which has been given in the VTU model question. So I'm assuming that the cofactor finding is understood by everyone. It's a simple technique. Only thing you have to be careful with the signs. Okay. And for doing the signs, there is an easier formula where you have Aij into Cij, and then you can find the Cij and the Aij. So that is how we find the cofactors. The next comes the application of determinants. The most important application of determinants is to compute the A inverse. So this is one of the properties of the determinants where you can compute the inverse. Using the cofactors, finding the inverse becomes very simple because the inverse of any matrix A is nothing but the cofactor matrix divided by the determinant of it. Okay? So that means if I want to find the inverse of a particular row and column, right? If you look at the equation, I want to find the inverse of a particular row and column, say A inverse 1, 1, 1, and that is nothing but the C11 divided by determinant of A. Right? But here you have to be careful. If I want to find A inverse of 1, 2, then I have to use C of 2, 1. That means I'm transposing it. Right? So we'll do a problem. We will do problems based on this as well. So this is one of the applications of the determinant. The second application, which is there in your syllabus, specifically mentioned, is the Cramer's rule. So let's look at the Cramer's rule with an example. There's no use for us to prove the Cramer's rule. We are only going to use the Cramer's rule for solving the problem. So let's look at this. Is the screen visible to everyone? Hello, anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is one of the problems which is mentioned in the model question. So we need to solve this set of linear equations using the Cramer's rule. So we are given x plus 2y plus 4z equal to 1, 2x plus 3y minus 1 into z equal to 3, and 1x plus 0y minus 3z equal to 2. So I have purposely written the equations like that. I mean with 1 into z and 0 into y, so it becomes clear to us. So the first step to find, the question is we need to find x, y, and z using the Cramer's rule. So the first step is to write this set of equations in the form of some a and d. So a will be nothing but the coefficients of the variables on the left hand side. So the first equation you have the coefficients as 1, 2, 4. So we write this in the first row. Second equation has the coefficients 2, 3, minus 1. So we write it in the second row. And you have 1, 0, minus 3 in the third equation. So you write it in the third. And then some matrix D, which will be written column wise on the RHS. Right? So the RHS in the three equations is 1, 3, and 2, and D becomes 1, 3, and 2. Okay? So the first step is to find the determinant of A. So you have A here, so I'll keep 1 as it is, and you have minus 9, minus 0, minus 2 into minus 6 plus 1, plus 4 into 0 minus 3. So that determinant comes to minus 11. Right? So this will be the first step. Now in order to find x, the equation is 1 divided by determinant of A. So the determinant of A is minus 11. So I already know that. And inside the matrix, in A, 1, 2, and 1 are the coefficients of x in the three equations. If you see, so you have 1, 2, and 1 are the corresponding coefficients of x in the three equations. To find x, I replace 1, 2, and 1, which are the coefficients in the equations, by 1, 3, and 2, which is the RHS of all the three equations. Therefore, to find x, I'll replace 1, 2, 1 with 1, 3, and 2. I will leave